graduated from Purdue in 2012 with a degree in philosophy and religious studies, and opened the Pint on September 13th of 2013. It was Friday the 13th.
Could you give us a little information about your preliminary business plan?
Yeah, the business model started as a German-style restaurant and brewery, which then I quickly realized was a completely stupid idea because it would never work in this town. And then it kind of grew into a bar, and eventually we did some research and shopped around to a lot of other places and decided we wanted to do a craft beer bar. And we didn't want to do hard alcohol, we just wanted to do beer and wine basically, and have a nice, relaxed, more coffee house style bar than anything else. So the idea behind the place was to provide a variety of craft beer and a relaxing atmosphere.
Okay. Could you tell us a little bit about how the Pint has grown since you first opened?
We started out when we had 15 taps, now we have 17, so I guess that's an actual growth. I think I put on probably about 20, 30 pounds. No, I mean, we've changed a lot. Our initial ideas on how we were going to run the place and how everything was going to function, just it never goes the way you think it's going to go. And every day you have to adapt a little bit and change. So, I mean, we started out where we just did pints. The only thing that you could get here was a pint of beer, basically. And since then, we've added the 4-ounce option on our list so that you can get a smaller pour and try multiple things without having to commit to, a big beer. And that's one of the ways that we've been able to better serve our customers. We added milkshakes, as we mentioned earlier, beer milkshakes, which that was kind of a fun idea. That's hilarious because it's basically my brainchild, and I'm lactose intolerant. So I can't drink them, but then we've also gone to the point where we have a pretty decent wine selection, and we do wine smoothies now on top of that. So a lot changes. We do tap takeovers basically every 2 weeks. And none of this stuff, we didn't do any of this stuff when we first started. It was just come in, get a pint of beer, and if you're not happy about it, shut up, I don't care.
What ignited the spark in you to start the new business or venture?
There wasn't any one thing that I could say that was just like, yeah, no, I should really do this. It was more of a, I could do this, and it seems like a good idea, and it seems like something I'd enjoy, so why not? I was working as a general manager at a pizza place, and thought, well, I could probably run a place since I'm basically doing that now. The only thing I'm not doing is taxes, so it was more of just a thing where everything fell into place. Like I was transitioning out of where I was at, and deciding what I wanted to do with my life, and the opportunity came up to do this. People invest money and just move forward and see why not.
People investing money, where did you get the money to start up this venture?
Family.
What was your biggest fear before you started your business, and then what turned out to be your actual biggest fear while you were running your business?
Well, I mean, I think always the biggest fear is failure. I don't think that's ever going to change. You just shuffle that away and keep going forward. I mean, it's crippling to think, I might fail today at business.
What 3 pieces of advice would you give to college students who want to become entrepreneurs?
There's one piece of advice that was given to me that I consider to be the most important piece of advice, and that was from my uncle, who he started his own business, and he's very successful. And that piece of advice was, you need to talk to 2 people. You need to talk to somebody who did well in business and somebody who failed, and figure out why each one happened. If you don't do that, then you're not going to have any idea how to run your own business. And besides that, I would tell people that, 1, hire things out. Don't expect you're going to do it all yourself, because you are not smart enough to do all the taxes. You are not smart enough to represent yourself legally. You're just not that good. You're going to have an ego if you start a business, because, well, that's kind of what it takes. You have to believe in yourself so blindly that you think you're the coolest guy on the planet, or gal on the planet. So just don't let that get to you. Don't let that go to your head. I guess a third piece of advice would be, don't be the person who decides to give up. Every day, it's like as you're opening the business. I mean, for me, every day was, there's going to be another obstacle today. There's going to be another problem. What's it going to be? And all the time you have that moment of just like stomach sinks and you're just like, I don't know how I'm going to handle this. You just have to push forward.
So what are some of the pros and cons of running a bar?
Pros are you're around alcohol all the time. Cons are you're around alcohol all the time. It's a fun business. Like you meet a lot of interesting people. You get to do a lot of fun stuff. I mean, you get to try all kinds of booze, and you get like you're part of a community when you own a bar much more so than you are in a lot of other businesses. Like everybody in this town who runs bars knows each other. Like and it doesn't take long. Because everybody wants to know how you're doing, what you're doing. Are you going to be around next year?
Was there any like barriers? Like, was it hard to get into the area here to become a bar owner? Or was it relatively simple to?
I mean, not having hard alcohol, it was pretty easy. If you were doing hard alcohol in this area, it's a little different. Like people are a little bit more cutthroat when it comes to hard alcohol. We're one of the only games in town as far as craft beer goes. In the county in general.
Are there any that kind of stick out in your mind, sacrifices along the way that you had to make?
Well, I put the majority of my savings into this business. And by majority, I mean fall. That's a monetary sacrifice. Everybody does that. Like, you also have a time thing. Like when we first opened, I was 120 hours a week, every week. I think the biggest sacrifice is how much you have to give up personally to invest of yourself into the business, how much of your time, because you don't do anything else.
When did you feel like your business was a success?
No, I remember the first moment I felt like it was a success. It was right after I felt like it was complete total failure. The day we opened, we had the mayor come down to do the grand opening, and he poured the first pint. And I remember about 20 minutes before open, 15 minutes before open, the mayor shows up, and there are like 6 people here. And I'm going, this is awful. By the time we opened, the place was full. And it stayed that way the entire night. And I thought to myself, this is going to be a success. I don't think I really realized it was a success until we hit our 6-month anniversary. And I stood in the back and I cried like a little girl because I finally achieved something. Those are really good moments. Like when you hit those marks and you're like, we've hit 6 months, we're not going out of business, we have money in the accounts, I can buy all the beer that I want, all right, I'm successful now.
How do you go about marketing your business?
Well, I don't. I got a sign outside. And then other than that, it's just kind of a random shotgun method that doesn't really work. Social media is probably the big thing for us, though. We use social media a lot to promote our tap takeovers, and that gets picked up by a lot of people in the beer community. So the important thing is for us is that we're a niche market. Right? You're coming here because you're looking for craft beer. That's why you would come here. This is a place you seek out. So it's hard to target that community. Like, who are these people who are drinking craft beer? How do I reach them? I don't. They find me. Like, that's the only way I can do it at this point, because there's no direct community in this area that has a really good grasp on the beer drinkers, on the craft beer people. Advertising is probably the one thing that I don't think I'm ever going to figure out how the hell that works and how to do that in this business.
Do you have anything that you want to mention that you think we missed that you just want to kind of put out there for entrepreneurs?
I think the important thing that a lot of people don't think about, and that I didn't think about, was how long it was going to take to get everything done. You have a lot of red tape to cut through, and you just have in your mind when you're going to open or when you're going to actually kick this thing off, and add at least a month to it. Have in your mind how much money you need to open your business and double it, because you're going to be wrong. Have a good business model, do all the planning, and then remember that in 2 months you're going to be throwing that entire thing out the window because you're going to have to do something different. Something's not going to work. and always be open to that kind of change, and always have a plan for that. Don't be the person who gets caught with their pants down, because that just sucks, because then your pants are down in public.
Right there. That's our end.